probably didn't know, and I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to know what you're talking about today because it's so new.
It is so new. This was like I guess breaking news last week when they talked about hackers had actually hacked into a vehicle and were able to control that while somebody else was driving it.
Wow.
And this happened in St. Louis. The hackers were, from my understanding, about 10 miles away from where the vehicle actually was. And we want to be clear on this. This is an actual picture of the vehicle. They were actually able to disable the brakes, which ultimately led
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, ultimately led the vehicle into a ditch. They were able to control the steering at low speeds.
No way.
They were turning the wipers and the windshield washers on and off. The air conditioning they were able to control. They were able to control the radio inside the vehicle, the volume and stuff like that. But we want to be clear on this. While this hack, it was real world and it really did happen. It was actually done as a media demonstration for the magazine Wired.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't done with malicious intent, but it was done to prove that it could be done. And to date, no hacking of a vehicle has been done maliciously, but this just brings to light that it is possible to do that. And this happened.
It was enough for Chevrolet to do a massive, recall in a way, saying come in here and get an update.
It was actually a Fiat Chrysler did that. Yeah, because they did it on a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Chrysler stated that to date there's been no accidents or complaints outside of this media demonstration, but it certainly did catch their attention.
Right.
And you're correct, Jackie. They actually the day after they recalled 1.4 million vehicles. And all of the vehicles that they've recalled are connected with equipped with what they call their Uconnect radio system, entertainment system. Okay. And that's how the hackers got in. Is if you had a Fiat Chrysler vehicle that had the Uconnect, I call it the infotainment system. What happens there is the Uconnect system actually connects. They use Sprint's cell towers, and they actually connect to the internet, so you can bring in Pandora and that type of stuff into your entertainment system inside the vehicle, as well as operate the GPS and some of the other functions inside the vehicle. So what the hackers actually did was they went in through the radio, through the internet, and then once they got in there, they had worked on some software that allowed them to control different things that were tied to the electronics in the radio, because cars now have, speed control, volume. We've had that for years. The faster you go, your volume automatically goes up and stuff. So all that different stuff was tied into the radio that they were able to control.
Wow.
Now, one thing that Chrysler has said is of the 1.4 million vehicles that are under recall, 3% or less are actually susceptible now, because they worked with their communications provider and they found an open port that these guys were able to go into. So they closed that port, and so they're saying that less than 3% of the 1.4 million vehicles would be susceptible today. But as a safety precaution, what they're doing on the recall is they're issuing a USB drive that you can plug into the vehicle, and you can download new software that has more security on it.
Sure.
But wouldn't that been a great idea at the beginning?
Well, this brings to light a couple of things, because the NHTSA has become involved, the National Highway and Traffic Safety Association, and they're closely monitoring this, because they want to make sure that all the vehicles in the lineup that are susceptible, that they do take action to take care of that. But some of the things that come to mind when I see this, and the two guys that did the hacking said that Chrysler's not alone in this. I mean, there's other vehicles, if they focused on, they feel confident they could get into.
Right.
But so we've got the manufacturer that we need a software upgrade, kind of like a security patch that happens on our laptops and our computers and stuff. But now, they're outside contracting with a telecommunications company to allow these functions to work, and the communications company screwed up and left a port open. So, there's some of this that's outside of the manufacturer's responsibility. I mean, you rely on others and they fall short. And I don't know where, well, I do know where vehicles are going, but, at this point, I don't feel that the internet's secure enough for me to connect my equipment to, let alone, tie my car to. And I really think there needs to be a lot more oversight, and they need to do more testing to make sure that this is a secure thing to do. And even when they do that, it just seems like people that do hacking, out of fun or for malicious always seem to find a way around it. So,
and if they were, let's be honest, this is going to take somebody with the right resources, hardware, software.
Absolutely.
Not everybody's going to be able to do this, but if someone wanted to, they could target somebody, let's say an important business person, politician, and drive their car off the road. And
exactly. I mean, that is a possibility. And they're saying that Chrysler Fiat said that. In order to do this, the hackers had to be within 100 feet of the vehicle. And yet, in this demonstration, they claimed they were 10 miles away. They were at home in their basement. And the guy,
their mom's basement.
Probably their mom's basement.
Well, yeah, because school starts the end of August. They have to go back. And just to be clear, I mean, the guy driving the vehicle, I mean, he knew. He knew it was going to happen. I mean, it was planned. I mean, he knew he didn't know what they were going to do.
See,
but
that
he
part
knew,
of the story didn't seem to surface.
No. The media kind of blew it out of proportion.
Yeah.
Like some guy was just driving down his road and someone took it.
The media would do something like that?
Well, not the great day media. They wouldn't do that.
But I'm kind of glad they did do this. It's one of those things. I'm excited for smart cars to come out. I think it's going to be an incredible thing. But
Especially
it scares me on the other side that a car that's completely run by a computer can be taken over. No different than flying an airplane, as a guy, for not malicious reasons, proved that he could get into the pilot's computer system because there wasn't enough security from where we're sitting in our seats to what the pilots use to fly an airplane.
Absolutely.
I mean, things need to be tested better. Is it a matter of us asking questions when we purchase our vehicle, or getting them maintained, or what's the next step? Or are we just having to rely on our car makers to be like, hope they're doing everything possible to make sure they're as safe as can be?
Well, I think we do rely on the manufacturers a lot, and we rely on technology companies. But I mean, you're correct. I mean, what more do we have to do? I mean, do we have to change a password in our vehicle every 30 days, or tell it what our high school mascot was? Or I mean, it's going to be a security question to start your vehicle. But
right.
but I am glad it happened too, because it brought to light. To where now the government's looking into this, and they're looking at all auto manufacturers. Interesting to note is the only vehicles under the recall, and the only vehicles that would be susceptible to this are vehicles that were sold in the United States, and I found that interesting. So outside of the United States. My guess is that Uconnect and Pandora in your vehicle and all this stuff isn't important enough that they offer it. I mean, they're probably
that
still.
Could be. And is it because it's better because they probably don't have it?
But correct, they don't have it, or their motoring public doesn't desire it. They're still using a car for transportation.
It's still an 8-track.
Foghat on the 8-track.
There you go.
And then last to note, and this, it was on the news again last night. They were talking about. I think the government has issued the NHTSA issued a fine. I think it was $105 or $110 million against Chrysler, and that was kind of a vague story as well. That fine is not related to the hacking of this vehicle. That fine has to do with 11 other recalls over time that they didn't feel. And it's not all a fine. Some of it's a settlement and stuff, but they didn't feel that they reacted as quickly as they should, to some of the recall type stuff. And we've talked about this on the show before. I mean, last year was the year of the recalls. I mean, we have more recalls, but it's because there's so much new technology and stuff on vehicles. I mean, I really think they're trying. There's just there's a push to be at the forefront and get stuff out and get stuff released. So.
Yeah, but the car companies are more aware now, so
They are.
obviously
They
they
are.
pay attention to it more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, now people have any other questions concerning vehicles, how do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me. WestsideAutopros.com's got our phone number, email address for me, or you can go to AskRonTheCarGuy.com and submit a question. I answer all the questions there. And I just want to throw a plug in too for tonight, the Stand Up for Pitt Hopkins event. I'm going to be there. I was there last year. It's a great event.
How long is your set going to be?
What's that?
How long is your comedy set going to be?
Well,